What's going on, Jets fans? It's your boy DT back with the 13th and final training camp practice recap video. That's right, the final practice for the New York Jets in the training camp session comes to a close today in what was very rainy, very wet conditions. So take some of this with a grain of salt, understanding it was very wet out there. Justin Fields in the offense sputtered a little bit, although Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson, their connection is continuing to heat up. They connected on a 7-yard touchdown pass today at practice. It capped off a 14-play drive for the offense. 9 of those 14 plays were runs, including a Justin Fields sneak on second or third and short. So I love to see Justin Fields using his legs more. Offense continuing to ground and pound. We know that's going to be the bread and butter of this team. That is the identity of this team. They ran it 40 times against the Packers and 36 or 33 times against the New York Giants. So they're telling you they want to run the ball. I love to see it. 14 plays ends with a Fields to Wilson 7-yard touchdown. It wasn't all great for Fields. He had 2 interceptions on the day. One was a pass that he was looking for. I believe it's Mason Taylor in what is described as a seam route by Robbie Sabo of Jets X Factor. At least reading the context clues of Robbie's tweet, he can't specifically say Fields tries to hit Mason Taylor on a seam route and it gets intercepted. He puts a little bit more context into it. Thank you, Robbie, for putting context into your tweets. But it did look like it was a pass in the middle of the field to Mason Taylor, intercepted by Brandon Stevens. That was one of 2 interceptions for Fields on the day, and there was multiple strip sacks in team periods of Justin Fields. And Connor Hughes of SNY said that those came from Jermaine Johnson and Tony Adams. So I like to see, the defense still getting after it. Again, wet, sloppy conditions, so we don't know if the grip on the ball was great for Fields. Not an excuse. You can't have 4 types of turnovers, whether it's interceptions or fumbles, in any type of setting, practice or game. So you want to see Fields work that out. But Jermaine Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, Jermaine Johnson is back. Fully back, 2 sacks today. They both ended the drive in team periods. So he looks like he is just about back to what he was in 2023 before the Achilles injury. I don't want to, put too much on his plate early if I'm the coaching staff, and I would still continue to slow roll his approach to the regular season. But I still think week 1 is a realistic possibility for Jermaine Johnson to be a factor for the New York Jets. So I love to see that from Jermaine there. Another standout is Brandon Stevens, who caught the interception off Fields while he was targeting Mason Taylor, as I described before, and he almost had another interception of Fields. So Brandon Stevens is getting next to the ball quite a bit this training camp session, this training camp entirely, honestly, the entire month of August, late July, he's been near the football. So turn those incompletions into pass breakups and turn those pass breakups into interceptions has kind of been my personal expectation for Brandon Stevens, and it seems like he's doing that quite well with this new staff. So I love Brandon Stevens being another standout. 2 defensive starters, Jermaine and Stevens, both getting called as standouts today, at least in my opinion. One negative thing about Fields before we get into the injury report, Robbie Sabo of Jets X Factor again, he was reporting on a team's session from Justin Fields and the starters. And the bottom line Robbie put at the end of his tweet said, he's not even close to trusting his eyes right now. He had an opportunity to hit Breece Hall on an anticipatory route where Justin is supposed to just know what's to come and throw it, anticipating the throw. He doesn't do it. He holds on to the ball an extra second. He's flushed out of the pocket right, and the play breaks down. So I don't love to hear that specifically from Sabo. I do think that based on everything we know about Justin Fields leading up to the signing of him coming to the Jets and everything that's kind of played out after, he signed with the Jets, we understand what his limitations are. But if you can't trust your eyes in an offense that's supposed to be timing based, where you know where your guys are supposed to be when you get to the back of your drop and you just have to release it and throw it, it's not a good look for Justin Fields. I'm not hitting any panic buttons. I'm not sounding the alarm. I'm still waiting at least 2, maybe 3 regular season games before I finally just give up on the aspect of this offense being able to be run through Justin Fields. but I am getting a little worried that he can't even trust his eyes in a practice setting. That is the situations where you're supposed to try the things that may not work in a game, but you have to try them anyway and see if there is a chance that you can build off of that and actually put it into your offense. So I don't love Fields not throwing that pass to Brees. I want him to trust his eyes. I want him to trust his feet. I want him to feel comfortable in the pocket. All those things are not really a staple of his game in the NFL. So can we get that out of Justin Fields is still to be determined, but that is what it is for Justin Fields today. He started off good. Some things are still bad, though. A couple injuries of note, and one is not entirely confirmed as an injury, but I am a little worried. Isaiah Davis has an ankle. He hasn't practiced in about 2 weeks. Rich Cimini said that he even noticed he still had a slight limp on the sideline today, off to the side at practice. He even speculated that he could be in potential IR candidate, right? You put the guy on a short-term IR and you're able to keep a guy at another position, or potentially able to keep Donovan Edwards as that running back for the short term before you can hopefully put him back on your practice squad. So Isaiah Davis still not practicing, 2 weeks with the ankle. John Simpson, he left during team drills. This is from Connor Hughes, and he was off to the side with trainers. No update. I don't think AG spoke, just the coordinators spoke to the media today after practice. So we might not get a John Simpson update for a couple days, but it was noted that he was injured during team drills and left for at least a portion of the practice. Same thing with Jamien Sherwood. He was not out in a couple of the drills for the Jets. At linebacker, Francisco Maligoa, the rookie 6th-rounder from Miami, he took his place in some of those drills. And I think that's okay with me. I'm not the fact that Sherwood is hurt, but the fact that Kiko was the one to get those reps, because I think Kiko needs to prove his spot on this roster is not just because he's a rookie draft pick of Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn. He needs to actually prove that he can be something in this group that's probably only going to keep 4 or 5 bodies anyway. And we know 2, if not 3, are Quincy Williams, Jamien Sherwood, and potentially Jamin Davis, right? So can you get that final linebacker spot, that final one of those last 2 linebacker spots if you're Kiko Maligoa? I don't think I've seen enough from him to say, if he wasn't a rookie, maybe he's not here right now and he's a cut candidate. But he's a rookie. I think they're going to give him a couple, at least one season, whether it's practice squad or on the active roster, to show his worth. But now would be the perfect time with an injury to Jamien Sherwood. I'm not sure if Jamien came back into the practice, but that was what was reported by Hughes specifically about Sherwood. And then Rich Cimini reported that Austin McNamara was not out of practice, and Harrison Mevis, the backup kicker, was handling all of the punt duties. So I'm not sure if that's an injury or, he just needed a day for something personal or what have you. Again, AG didn't speak, so we might not get the full details for a couple days, but couple names of note, especially John Simpson being a starting left guard, McNamara, who has had a really good training camp and preseason as our only punter. So a couple notable names that we still need to watch for on the potential injury report as we head into this final preseason game against the Eagles. That's going to do it for this one. I appreciate everybody. Hit the like button on your way out. I'm Dylan Terriman. Subscribe if you're new. We're on the road to 1,000. And until next time, let's go Jets.